Hey guys, I thought I'd just do a quick update on this because recently there's been a few polls released today from different media outlets talking about how the 2020 candidates, mainly the Democrats, are doing in Iowa, and this was kind of the thing to show their popularity in the state and to show who's qualified for the seventh Democratic debate, which we'll be seeing in 4 days, which will take place in Des Moines, Iowa. And I thought I'd just do this real quick. Just put it out there. Bernie Sanders is in the lead with 20%. He's up 5 points, which I find very surprising. However, then again, he could knowing a little bit about him, I could see why he's a little bit appealing to some of the likely and most likely Iowa caucus. Sorry, I just hate that word. Caucus goers. He's very appealing. He's one of the front runners. He's been one of the top candidates in the race for a little while. And however, he's not out of the ballpark with Elizabeth Warren being second with a 17%, and she's up by 1%, 1 percentage point. So Bernie Sanders isn't out of the ballpark because Elizabeth Warren's only 3 percentage points ahead. Now, Pete Buttigieg, who was doing well and was the front runner in Iowa up until I think a couple weeks ago or a month ago, is at 16%. Is in third place with 16%, and he's down 9 percentage points. I'm not gonna say this is what it is, but it might be due to certain things that have been talked about in debates, maybe like the wine cave. I'm not gonna get into that, and maybe quite possibly from the campaigning of Warren and Sanders, but who knows? It could be anything. And in fourth, you have Joe Biden at 15% with no change. I think I can see why he's a somewhat popular candidate in that state. He does have some appeal. He's not for everybody, and I'm not going to lie, he's had some controversy, I'm not even going to talk about it on the campaign trail. But that's the top four. And, but this is only the top four. I'm going to go over to the Des Moines Register, the one on the Des Moines Register website, which shows the same results, but it also shows basically the other ones show the top four. This is going to show all of them. And in fifth, you have Amy Klobuchar coming with 6%. So she was able to make the top five, and she's, her popularity is a decent, though she's almost, though Joe Biden's ahead of her by a little more than a double. She does have some stuff behind her. And then in sixth place, you have Andrew Yang. Well, not sixth place, but in sixth, you have Andrew Yang with 5%, Cory Booker with 3%, Tulsi Gabbard and Steyer both at 2%, and Michael Bloomberg being able to conjure up 1%. And with Michael Bennet and John Delaney, it says 0%, but if you look closely, there's apostrophes here, and it says it indicates that at least one respondent selected the candidate, but because of the rounding, it was rounded down to 0. And with other candidates like Deval Patrick and Marianne Williamson, which Marianne Williamson actually dropped out today, are at 0%, while 1% of the respondents said none of them, they would choose none of them, and a good decent amount of 11% of them saying not sure. And that's been kind of a mainstay, mainly due to the crowded field, because there's just so much to choose from. They all have different strategies on things, and that happens in crowded primary fields. Now when it comes down to talking about who's qualified for the January debate, before I go into who's qualified, surprisingly enough, Tom Steyer is qualified. Now, this is surprising because up until this poll, only 5 were qualified, which was Biden, Sanders, Warren, Klobuchar, and Buttigieg, I believe. But now there's 6 qualified, and that's Tom Steyer, because he was able to meet the poll threshold and the unique donors threshold basically on the deadline. People didn't even think there was going to be more than 5 this coming debate, and honestly, he surprised me. He was able to meet the poll thresholds, which is at least meet about more than 5% in all state polls, or at least 7% or more in early state polls, and he was able to meet that. And he was also able to meet the donor threshold, which was over 225,000 unique donors or more. So I honestly thought it was crazy that he was able to qualify with with time against him, but he was able to meet the deadline. While you see, which surprising enough, Andrew Yang did not make the cut. Surprising enough, and I believe he's been in every debate since the first one back in June. So that's going to be very interesting. And Cory Booker not being able to meet the threshold either. Though Yang and Booker met the donor threshold, they did not meet the poll threshold. And I also thought this was another interesting thing to bring up was Bloomberg, our late candidate who entered the race very late, just like Deval Patrick, met the poll threshold but did not meet the donor threshold, mainly due to the fact that he's kind of self-funding his campaign. However, it's crazy to think that if he actually did have donors, he could have been able to qualify. That would have been pretty interesting. However, that's all I have to talk about. Did your preferred candidate, if you are a Democrat or you lean Democrat, did their preferred candidate make it? Let me know down in the comments. And if not, who are you supporting 2020? I'd like to know. And are you surprised that Steyer was able to make the cut? Because I know for sure I was. That was quite something. But that's all I have to talk about, guys. I hope this somewhat gave you an idea what's going on, basically Iowa-wise, and who's going to be able to debate in the next on January 14th in Des Moines, and I believe CNN's going to be hosting it with the Des Moines Register, but which I'll also cover after it's done. I might cover it on the night of the debate or afterwards to see who's the winner and losers and how I felt about it. But we'll see. But thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you dropping by and watching this. Feel free to give it a like. Support would be nice. But yeah. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.